This is the MGTOW Infinium here with another Infinium training session. This Infinium training session is entitled, It's Not a Matter of Paranoia. My brothers, as we travel along the MGTOW pathway, one of the tactics of the feminist plantation state, which is designed to interfere with our travels, is to question our overall mental health. It is this questioning of our mental health, even in the face of legitimate reasons why we are MGTOW men, which has led to our overall persecution by the FPS in every way possible. More importantly, it is our determination to live free lives as MGTOW men, independent of women, which has led to our being classified as men who are paranoid in nature. And from the standpoint of the FPS, there is no logical reason for men to be independent of women, therefore making it illogical for a man to not have a woman in his life. My brothers, not only is the aforementioned nothing more than despicable gaslighting of we MGTOW men by the FPS, it is also the despicable nature of how we are viewed by the FPS, principally being men who are weak-minded because of our inability to fall in line with the hive mind mentality and infrastructure of the FPS. Or in other words, our inability to fall in line with what the FPS deems all men as, that being nothing more than slaves. And why again, any man who resists the FPS mandate that he must have the interaction of a woman in his life will be deemed as paranoid in nature. In reality, what we as MGTOW men are facing is not our paranoia. It is, however, the reality of what feminism and the FPS is doing to we men in an effort to rob us of our very right to be free as men. It is as well the reality of how much power women exert over our lives because of feminism and the FPS. And finally, because of the level of power, it is the reality of what women can do to we men at will with little or no repercussions to their actions. My brothers, here is an example of blatant disrespect which proves why our stance of non-interaction with women is derived from our wisdom and not from our paranoia. I had gone to Buckrow Beach in Hampton, Virginia for the purpose of doing B-roll and audio capture. As you can see from this snippet of footage, two women seemingly walking into the view of my camera and acting like it was an innocent mistake. If, however, you take into account what actually happened before this scene was captured, it becomes then a matter of deliberate disrespect to me. What actually happened was I had originally started out doing B-roll capture underneath the base of the pier, which is visible at the far right in the scene with the women. The distance between the pier and the pilings where the women enter into the scene was about a half mile or so. As well, the beach beyond the base of the pier was restricted, meaning that I could not go beyond that point. In the process of filming, I noticed that a group of people, inclusive of the two women, were coming over to my location. I decided to move because I did not want to be bothered and because of the sense that they would interfere with me. So I picked up my equipment and headed over to the pilings. When I arrived at the pilings, I set up my tripod and again began to shoot footage. I glanced over briefly at the last location and noticed that the group of people were in the same location where I was last at. It also appeared that they were trying to figure out what I was doing because they were both inspecting the location and looking over to the location where I was currently at. The scene where the women deliberately walk into view was the fourth take of that scene, which when this happened, I was so concentrated on what I was doing that I did not realize that the group of people had come directly over to where I was until it was too late. My point being is that what was done to me was not an innocent accident. Rather, it was a deliberate attempt to fully disrupt what I was doing by the two women involved. This was because I was observed at both locations by the women involved. When I moved from the first location to the second location, the women became that much more determined to disrupt my activities, thereby leading to what you see happening in the footage. I can cite also that because of their observations of what I was doing, like positioning of my tripod, camera angles, etc., that the women involved knew that their rear ends would be captured in my footage. As well, had I said anything and everything could have happened to me, like being attacked by the men who were with the two women to being hauled off by the enforcers of the feminist plantation state. It should be noted here that the narcissism generated by feminism and the FPS played a contributory role in what happened to me. It should be also noted that these women not only disrespected me, but they also disrespected the men who they were with by their actions. As such, it becomes then a matter of what could have happened to the men involved had they challenged the women's actions, like them being treated to exclusive stays at the Motel 50. My brothers, what happened to me was not a case of me being paranoid about an accidental coincidence. Rather, it was my observations of a deliberate, well-considered attempt to disrupt what I was doing and therefore rob me of my peace. As well, the aforementioned is and was fully conditioned upon what the FPS allows women to do in terms of them not taking accountability for their actions. It is this ability of women to not take accountability for their actions, regardless of how much trouble it causes us, which has become one of the many foundational reasons why we as MGTOW men now limit our interactions with women in every way possible. And finally, why our walk along the MGTOW pathway is not defined by an unstable sense of paranoia, but rather the sure, solid foundation of who we are as free men. This is the MGTOW Infinium, and this has been an Infinium training session. My MGTOW brothers, as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay on the MGTOW path, and remember, MGTOW is the liberation of men's minds. MGTOW cannot and will not be stopped.